I'm super humbled and super happy to see all of you here. And tonight I'm going to talk about style guides because style guides are fun. And super happy and excited to see all the new friends here in the crowd tonight. For those who don't know me, I'll just share a couple of things. So my name is Anna Potapova, and I'm a content strategist for AliExpress, part of Alibaba Group, where I lead multilingual content strategy team. So we create content for this giant online shopping platform in over in 17 languages at the moment. And of course, we do content design. That's what we're all here for. I'm also a speaker. I spoke at Button in 2020 about localization in UX writing. I also spoke at UX evening at Google last fall in November. And yeah, I'm speaking now. What do you know? I also enjoy swimming, so if that's something that you're into, let me know. I'd love to. I'd love to chat. And here's some pictures of me and my team, who are pretty awesome. Also, a picture of me being at UX London, which I had the privilege of visiting in 2019. Yeah, and also a picture of me with former Alibaba CEO. Haven't had a chance to meet a new Alibaba CEO yet because I'm very busy. Um, but yeah, that's a little bit about me. And I'm also a kitty mother. I have a cat named Turkey Sandwich, who hopefully wouldn't bother us today. All right. So what I'm going to be talking about today. So we're going to talk about style guides. But first, what is style guide and why do we need it, right? We all work here in China. We work for Chinese companies or international companies based in China and sometimes overseas. Not all of them really have style guides, so I think it's an interesting topic. Some of you I know are helping their companies to build style guide right now. So I'm going to do a little bit of introduction and then just roughly go over what goes into style guide and how to build one. But the key part is what is the title of my talk is how to make it work, right? Because it's very easy to put a document together. It's very hard to make everybody in your organization to actually follow your document, right? So yeah, that's it for today. And I'm going to start by understanding how style guides work and how what kind of role they play in the overall communication between a customer and the brand. As we all work for brands, if you're an entrepreneur working for your own brand, please let me know. I have a lot of questions and very excited for you. All right. So, what's a style guide, and why do we need one? Let's think about relations between a brand and the customer as um, they used to be in the era before we came up with apps, websites, and other handy things. Interaction would be something like this. There would be a customer, there would be a representative, and there would be a system. What do I mean by that? For example, you would come to a department store. You would come to a department store looking for a sweater. And giant as department stores sometimes are, you find it tricky to find sweaters that you're looking for. So you would come over to a clerk and ask them, hey, where can I find sweaters? Or sweaters of particular brand or particular color or of particular fabric. And the representative of this brand, the representatives of the store, they would have the information about all the items, materials, and locations pretty much stored in their head, right? And you can have this good old-fashioned interaction with actual human being regarding your shopping choices and attention. So this person would be representing a brand, right? And of course, they would try their best to please you as a customer, and they would try their best to meet your needs and provide their service in an effective way. But what happens when we go online? If we go online, the person disappears, the representative disappears. Uh, and instead of having human representative, we start having interface as a representative, right? So instead of asking a clerk for particular sweater, you might use your voice input and say that you're looking for a sweater. You might type blue sweater in the search bar. You can even look for sweaters around your area. Or maybe you can use an image that you previously saved of a sweater that you like and try to search for similar items online. What happens when a person, an actual human being representative brand, is being replaced by a system? Well, at this very moment, instead of interacting with one person, we have to interact actually with many people. If we replace our imaginary department store with a shopping website, instead of one clerk, you would see messages from engineers who wrote some error messages. You would see messages from marketing team. You would see messages from product team. You would see messages from customer service. They're all very different people, and well, as we are different as people, we cannot all sound the same. So sometimes when you open the same app or same website, you can see very different ways of communicating with you, right? So sometimes you would see something like order shipped, estimated arrival 5-7 business days. It's very dry, right? It's very, I would say, business-like. It sounds like it was written by somebody from logistics team, right? They're um, very straight to the point and very like robotic sounding, right? Or for the same kind of situation, when you bought something online and shipped, you can say, great choice. Your purchase should be landing on your doorstep in the next 5 days. Let us know how much you love it. It is completely different message, right? So by coming up with style guide and empowering our organization and other people in our organization to use it and use it consistently across the whole app, website, or whatever experience you're working on, you can manage to achieve consistency in your messaging. Example, um, here's some screenshots from Amazon Prime, kindly offered by Bridget O'Donnell. Thank you, Bridget. Um, so what we see here is, number one, it's very consistent visually, right? They use the same colors, they use the same um, visual elements, such as logo, such as the parcel icon, and so on. They also use consistent language. As you can see, the word prime is always capitalized. And the case also consistent. What you get by signing up to Prime is called Prime Benefits, and it's called Prime Benefits everywhere. So it's consistent terminology, not only consistent spelling. That's our basic grammar mechanism, right? But also consistent terms. Also, if you look closer at these messages, you can see that many of them rotate around the same topic, which is millions of items, abundance. You have many choices, you have many options. More than 10 million products, millions of items, millions of items. You see it on many pages. What happens when you see this message everywhere consistently? You think that it belongs there. It makes you trust the platform. Not only it goes for online products, it also goes for offline products. You go outside in US and you see external ads on the streets, and again you see the same concept of millions of items. So no matter where their potential or existing customers are, they can always see this benefit. How did Amazon manage to make it? By having very clear visual identity guidelines and, of course, style guide for their content. So what is content style guide? It's a system that informs the words, design, and material used across a brand's platform, allowing everybody in that business to create consistent on-brand content. No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing external ads or you're doing product microcopy, you always can use your guidelines, your style guide, as this golden standard and make your brand sound um, reliable and consistent, which is something that is quite important for customers overseas. In China, not always so, I feel. Please feel to challenge me after this talk. Okay, so to sum up, Style Guide helps us keep messaging consistent, um, look trustworthy, and communicate core principles and values of our brand to the customers to further reinforce them and make sure that our brand is associated with certain things, right? So, how do you make one? Where do you start? Well, I already mentioned that Style Guide is a system that helps you create consistent communication. It's something that is to replace a human being, something to replace a person in the digital context, right? So naturally, you need to think of who this person would be. What are their traits? What are their values? So that's why we don't start with are we using Oxford comma or not? Are we using abbreviations or not? Are we using emoji or not? Those are very basic things. But in the core of it is what is our organization? What do we want to emphasize? For example, if we go back to the Amazon example, if millions of items is such an important trait of their brand, such an important concept, then they can further use different scenarios to highlight it. For example, when you use search and type your blue sweater in the search bar, at the loading screen, instead of just loading, they can say searching through millions of items to further reinforce the same concept through the microcopy. And these are the ideas that reflect our brand. Now we here I think we have mostly content designers and some localization folks as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. And it's of course it cannot be all up to us to define what our brand stands for. You might want to work across departments. You might want to talk to folks in marketing. You might want to talk to folks in sales, in customer service, maybe to upper management even, and figure out, okay, what do we represent? What we are as brand, and then from there you can start defining key concepts, right? It can be something as trustworthy or playful or maybe insightful if you're making, for example, a little intellectual game. The concepts that you choose and the traits that you want to associate your brand with will impact your decisions when it comes to more basic things such as grammar, punctuation, and whatnot. For example, I have this beautiful example from Cleo. Cleo is an AI assistant for finance. I'm not sure, maybe some folks who worked in US um, used this platform before. So Cleo is this AI chatbot assistant that can help people manage their finances. Um, and you can already see by the way she talks that she's very colloquial and very conversational and very straightforward, right? And it also impacts the choices that they make when it comes to punctuation, right? So when you want to come out as informal and approachable, you might want to maybe save on punctuation a little bit, right? You see not a single punctuation mark in this messages. That is to make that point, to showcase the casualness and the way how this persona is really approachable, this brand persona. And also, emojis, they serve the same effect. This is a high emoji that you often see when people greet you online, right? Verbosity. Again, if we're looking for something informal and fun and approachable, we probably don't want to be too verbose because verbosity can be associated with something, um, I would say, more formal and maybe high end to some degree, right? For example, a game can call um, their users players, right? But maybe some VIP club wants to call their users members. And instead of saying something like get help on their website, they would say something like get assistance to get this feel of high end and privileged. But here we want the opposite thing, right? We even use colloquial language to build this approachable persona. And that ties back to personalization. This product clearly targets younger people. If they targeted, say, baby boomers generation in US, they wouldn't be using this language, right? But because they know who their audience are, who their audience is, they use exact right way to address them, right? Also, things like how do you use acronyms, how do you use abbreviations, those are all tying back together to who you are, to who you are as a brand. Hello today. Okay. Um, yes. So as I was saying, it all starts with your brand personality and the core concept that you want to represent, and those decisions would inform your further strategy when it comes to uh, grammar uh, and mechanics on your platform. Right. Another important element for us, people working in IT and people creating content in interface, is we need to define in our style guide how to create content for specific modules or specific content types in our website or in our app. You can have very different channels based on the needs of your business and your customers, right? It can be in addition to product content that would gives us page titles, empty states, error messages, buttons, and whatnot. It can give us promotional banners. It can give us blogs. It can give us help center articles. So, what are some good practices when it comes to creating those content types that are specific to your brand? And how we can make sure that those best practices are followed consistently. For example, here you can see anatomy of empty state error message, sorry, being analyzed. Right. We need to explain to people what happened. Then we need to tell what what is the reason of it, and provide instructions to make sure that people find the right path and continue enjoying the experience that platform provides. Same way, you can analyze different types of content on your platform, and either using the analytics available to you or industry best practices, define for your particular case, for your particular business, for your users, what would be the best approach to write, for example, a page title, to write an error message, to write a button. Then you use the style guide to document those best practices and make sure that they are being followed consistently across your whole organization by every single person who works on content, right? Okay, but you can say, hey, right, okay, so we defined our personality, we defined how we talk, but and we know now what kind of grammar principles to use, and also how to write for specific content types of our website. But how can you really align on the same tone of voice? Say you're making a video game and you want to be playful. You can't be playful always, right? Sometimes things go bad. Sometimes you lose the game, right? Sometimes you maybe try to make an in-game transaction and your payment fails. Do you still need to be playful in that situation? No, not really. You need to be flexible. For example, here I have example from another style guide, where brand wants to be optimistic, right? But again, you cannot be consistently optimistic across the whole user journey. When people feel unsupported or confused, for example, they are dealing with a new product, or they're dealing with an error state, or they're trying to learn something new within your app or experience, of course, we cannot be overly optimistic. We need to kind of hold it back a little bit. Same with excitement, right? If you want to be a lifestyle shopping platform, it's nice to be excited and exciting, but maybe not when your bank card expired, right? Or when your delivery is being delayed. You need to tone it down a little bit and use your voice and tone appropriately. Okay, so now that we know who we are, know how we talk, know how to communicate across different platforms and different content types, we know how to be flexible. Um, we need to make it all work together. How do we make it all work together? Well, first of all, and it might sound like a hot take coming out, coming from me, a person who loves writing, talking to you, other people who I'm certain love to write as well. People don't like reading that much, unfortunately. People don't like reading that much, especially when they are in stressful work situation and they need to get things done quickly, which is often the case. So the best thing you can do with your style guide is to keep it simple. Keep it very simple. Simple. Instead of a long manual of many pages,
刘佳瑶，
can we have just our key concepts, our choices when it comes to vocabulary, verbosity, grammar, punctuation, capitalization, all summed up? All summed up maybe on 1 or 2 pages that you can easily distribute to those people in your organization who work with content or work creating content. For example, here there is an example from Tori Podmajersky, fantastic book, Strategic Writing for US UX. If you haven't read it, please do. Just do it for me and do it for yourself. It is very helpful and very well structured. So if you're just taking your first steps or early steps in UX writing and content design, I strongly recommend. So she provides this example of what she calls voice and tone chart. So it has our brand principles, which is playful, insightful, surprising. It has our concepts, what they want to highlight, what they want people to feel like. Uh, in my previous example with Amazon, for Amazon, it definitely would be millions of products, right? They love talking about that. Then all of those concepts are reflected across different dimensions. And even though example on the right is just a simple login sign-in page, you can see which of these 2 screenshots aligns with this voice and tone and which one doesn't. If we say that our verbosity requirement is using fewer words than strictly necessary, then create a new account would certainly not fit, right? Um, if we want to uh, avoid using capitalization, only use capitalization for emphasis, of course we're not going to do title case, right? And you can see even on the screenshot that the one in the middle, the one with purple sign in button would be matching this brand's voice and tone better, right? So we can use every opportunity to highlight the specific and unique essence of our brand, even when it comes to such a simple page. Words do make a difference. Now, okay, so you created your style guide. You made it simple. You made it accessible. Um, and it all sounds good, right? I made the thing. It's easy to read. It's easy to understand. Everybody will use it, right? No, no, they won't, because as mentioned above, they're very busy. They have other things to do, and it's hard to keep consistency, especially if you work for a big organization. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share with you the most important thing about learning your style guide. Get a buy-in. Get a buy-in. Talk to the highest authority in your company that you can talk to. It can be head of product, it can be head of marketing. Best yet, it can be your CEO. So your style guide can have as much power as the highest authority who approved it. True power will be open to you once you get approval from the management and influence others in the organization. Because um, when it only backed up by our research, it doesn't have that much decision-making power as when it's approved by your management. Okay, so this is the hard part. You need to manage up. You need to really explain the value. You really need to work this idea into the minds of your superiors. Okay, but still, we work on many different copies every day, and work across departments, we work with many different people. How we can make sure that whatever we write, always or in most cases, closely aligned with style guide? Well, there are a few ways to achieve that. First of all, you need to discuss your copy or do content critique. Content critique is very similar to design critique. That's why materials I recommend here would be a book by Adam Connor and Aaron Irizarry, I hope I pronounced it correctly, discussing design. Um, when designers have design critique, they usually follow this model. So they start with the objective of this particular design, and then they analyze which elements of this design are related to this objective, and how effective are those elements in achieving this objective, and then why or why not. Content critique can be a meeting, it can be an online call, but what's important is you show your copy to people, you present the objective, um, you tell them what are you after, and together you analyze how it can be improved. How can it be more effective in achieving that goal? You can also do this exercise with yourself, even before you bring your fellow content designers or your UX designers to a meeting discussing this. Let me give you an example from a project that I previously worked on. So it was just a very small project. It was just some tooltips for picture search, image search. Sorry, and of course, a formulated jobs to be done. So as a member of this product team, I wanted to get buyers onboarded quickly, so they can convert and improve key metrics for this product. And I also created a story for AliExpress buyer to set the framework. As a buyer, I want to know about available search options and how to use them so I can quickly find the items I'm interested in. Now, with this in mind, and our um, back then style guided time, I started coming up with options. So my first option was encouraging, uh, just encourage people to try. It has to be the right tone, matching the tone set by style guide, which was uh, conversational and friendly. It has to be accessible because we do translation and localization in many languages. And you can see clearly already from this example that it doesn't really fit accessibility criteria, because if you translate, for example, the second um, tooltip in German, it just simply wouldn't fit the screen. So people won't see it fully. Is it really that purposeful and concise? Not really. It's a little bit long, especially the first message. And then, questionably, we don't need buttons like next and okay. We can just replace them with the close the window icon. Grammar and mechanics, yes, it follows all the capitalization rules of our platform back then. So keep thinking. What else can we do? We can entice people. Maybe we can build a connection between searching, using image search, and finding deals. Yeah. Is it still the right tone? Yes, it's still the right tone. What's up with accessibility? Um, yeah, also would have problems in localization. Okay, what about conciseness? Well, actually, the same problem with buttons, right? We don't really need these buttons, and questionably, we don't really need to promote our deals in this scenario, right? Because based on our jobs to be done, both from project member standpoint and buyer standpoint, we don't really need that, right? So it's not necessary. Grammar and mechanics, yes, still okay. Last option, just directional. To search by image, take a photo or use an image from your gallery. This was for Android, so we use gallery. Uh, right tone, still. Accessible, yes. Now we can have more space for multi-language. Purposeful and concise, yes. It fits both objectives of the project team and objectives of users. We use correct grammar and mechanics. So what we're doing here is the same as what we do during content critique. We look at the copy and we see whether it fits the principles and goals of the products that we're creating copy for. So it becomes a golden standard, it becomes a tool that can help us measure whether we're hitting the right spot in our expressions or not so much. And of course, cannot have any talks these days without mentioning AI. AI seems to be a new and interesting way to integrate your style guide truly in all the communication of your organization, and just literally put it on every single notebook of every single person, right? And many browser extensions and different AI powered writing tools, they now allow you to create specific rules for your brand. For example, if in style guide you said that um, instead of using and symbol, you should spell it out as A and D. So every time anyone on your organization spells it this way, they will be prompted to change it. You can even tweak your tone and voice and make sure that it's understandable to your customers and that it sounds the right way. So that's a whole new page and the whole new um, way to integrate the style guide in your work. Which honestly, I'm really keen to learn from you guys today. If somebody implemented it, please let me know how did you make it work and whether it really works for you the way you intended. There was some conversations in this group before about how like it can be tricky in parts, so I'd love to talk more about that. So yeah, that's what you need to do to have a style guide that works. You need to make sure that you clearly defined your brand, your West and Don traits. You formulated your grammar and mechanics principles. Accordingly, you have clear vision for how to write different content types, and you know how to be flexible to make sure that people actually do use your style guide. You keep it simple. You get your upper management on board. You run content critiques, and you use smart ways to integrate style guide in the work of everybody in your organization with AI tools. That is all I want to share today, except I have a bonus, some nice references for different content style guides, either from organizations or publishers. So you can check it out on your own time. I will share this deck in our WeChat group, and you can you can just go and figure it out if you like to learn more about this. And that is it for my sharing today. And now, time for shameless plug. I'm hiring. I'm hiring people. I'm hiring 2 content designers. Hook me up, okay? You know how to find me. If you don't know how to find me, just send a message in WeChat. Yeah, and I'll be there for you. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. Do we have questions? Okay, we do have questions. Fantastic. I will start. I will start from the beginning. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Let me find it. Yeah. What's the best way to communicate with stakeholders to get this true power? Fantastic question. I think it really varies organization to organization. Think, what is your organization's approach to marketing? What kind of marketing initiatives are getting green lighted, and which ones don't get green lighted? This way, you can borrow the strategies that are guaranteed to work in your organization from maybe other teams who land similar initiatives. That's number one. Number two, another powerful way to get your stakeholders on board is to explain to them how inconsistency in language, inconsistency in copy affects the metrics that they care about. Ideally, you want to give them some customer insights and ideally first-hand feedback. If people complain about inconsistency, if people complain about messaging being confusing, that can be something that you can use a strong argument, saying, "Hey, we developed this feature for such a long time, and we put so much resources into it, but people don't even understand what it is." So by pointing out the risks that the lack of style guide creates, you can get that approval and support. And of course, don't forget looking for those loyal stakeholders, right? Different people might collaborate with you different ways. Different teams might collaborate with you different ways. Not all the teams are created equal. Some would have more awareness of the value of content design. Some would have less of that. So also you might want to leverage the influence of those people and those teams to get you approval from upper management. Okay, I hope I answered your question. What language do you use to build the style guide? Or how do you manage the multilingual style guide? Okay, fantastic question again. Wow, you guys are awesome. What we did for my organization, we used English as basis, and then we created style guides for other languages, um, mostly based on the same principles, but adapting to some local nuances and local specifics as well, because you would have those, right? For example, in English, um, there is only one way to address another person, you, right? In Chinese, for example, you can say ni or nin. So probably in Chinese, if you're working for a brand that has English and Chinese, you probably would need to establish that as well, just because it's a concept that exists in your language that is not present in English. So you need to be extra careful with that dimension. And another dimension might be cultural, right? How um, how can you make sure that your product still matches the needs of your customers, even though your customers are not necessarily 100% culturally match what the English style guide was, who the English style guide was created for. Um, for example, Burger King is famous for their very aggressive promotional campaigns. Like in US, they would straight up have campaigns where you can use augmented reality on your phone to burn McDonald's ads. So burn the competitor, literally. And in their Russian marketing materials, they almost out flat use swear words to stand out of the crowd and to be edgy. But in China, you don't see anything like that. They're playing more traditional games in their marketing because they know how to align to this audience. This is also something that you need to consider, that some of the voice traits for different markets can be different depending on the needs of those markets and expectations of local customers over there. Okay. When creating a style guide specifically for an app-based platform, we work closely with UI/UX designers to see what their vision for dimension space within the app and how your text can fit into these dimensions. Fantastic questions. Absolutely fantastic question. Again, the content for UX modules is always a collaborative effort, right? You always need to sync up with designers, and you also need to make sure that you are all on the same page. Why? Because guess what? They work on content as well. They also work on content. They also need to know what are your recommendations, what are your recommendations, and how they can create their drafts better. So it's absolutely necessary, and if possible, I suggest you integrate your content style guide in your design system. This way, it can be accessible to everybody, and everybody can be on the same page. Okay. What kind of content? Okay. These questions going down. Okay. What kind of content do you need to gather in order to start building a style guide for a new brand? Uh, well, first of all, you need to formulate the basic principles and concepts of your brand, right? What your brand is standing for. Um, again, I put a little bit of asterisk here. It's not necessarily UX writer's job, right, or content designer's job. It's usually somewhere with marketing, but in startups, I understand some people wear many hats. So ideally, first of all, you need to maybe get a buy-in from your manager to make sure that yes, it's okay for your team to take this task and to start working on this. And then you might want to find some key decision makers in the organization and just talk to them and see what's their vision. As a brand, what we stand for. If our brand was a human, what kind of human that would be? How would they talk? How would they look? What's their gender? If the brand was an animal, what kind of animal would it be, and why? What is the value of this brand for customer? So you start with these key principles: what we stand for, who we are, and then you build on top of that. Okay, I guess these are all the questions that we had. You guys want to do the break rooms? We have 17 people, so I guess 3 to 4 people. That's about it. Okay, one last question. I'll take one last question. What's the difference between style guides for Chinese platforms compared to other markets like US? Um, I think conceptually there is no too big of a difference. The only thing that mm, I can say that is really different is that in China the role of content designer sometimes doesn't exist, which means that there might be some basic content guidelines added to design system, but I haven't seen any Chinese style guide that wasn't for voice product that went in depth into how to write content and what principles to follow. So I guess it's just a new area here, and um, I guess some organizations just haven't invested in that yet. Okay, thank you so much. Let's do break rooms. I'm dying to talk to you guys. I've been talking to myself last half an hour. Let's finally have a nice chat.